All apprentices and delivery staff must wear PPE at all times in an official workshop. Note that these practical examples are filmed in a teaching environment.
For this session of safe isolation, we're now going to be isolating the circuit supplying this three-phase motor here, which is controlled by this direct online starter. So as before, the first thing we need to do is ask permission from the customer. Dear Mrs. Customer, do I have permission to isolate your three-phase motor? What's going to happen is just the supply to that motor is going to go off, so it's only going to affect that. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. So having got permission, we can now switch off the protective device for the three-phase motor. That's that in the off position. Now what we need to do is make sure it stays off, so the next step would be to apply our device lock onto the three-phase circuit breaker. You can see this is obviously a lot bigger than a single phase, but the switching is actually linked together. So you've got three options of placing this locking device into that circuit breaker. I'm just going to go for the middle one, but it doesn't matter which one you go on because all of them will prevent that circuit breaker from being reset. With the lock in place, the locking device in place, we need our padlock and again our label placing that on the padlock so it's visible when it's hanging. We now need to put that through the device. And then that's that locked off, securely locked. And once again, make sure we keep the key in our pocket at all times. So that's the equipment isolated at the board. Now we need to make sure that the equipment is actually dead. Now we're going to be working on this motor, but if I test just at the motor terminals, I won't know whether it's actually isolated or just switched off via this direct online contactor. So you need to take your testing one step back to the contactor and check the supply coming in from there. Obviously a contactor can only be energized if the supply is healthy, so you need to make sure that it's at the contactor that is actually dead. So let's take the cover off. So with the cover safely removed, we can now see that the incoming supply comes into the top of the main switch here. This is where I need to test to make sure that the supply is actually isolated. The three phases do come through here onto the top of the contactor, but testing there won't prove anything because in order for me to get the cover off, I've had to switch off that main switch. So beyond there is actually just switched off, so I need to prove it's isolated at those incoming terminals. So with the circuit now isolated, the next thing to do is to make sure that it's isolated by proving that with the voltage indicator. First thing, prove the voltage indicator is working because this is going to be a dead test. There we go, all lights are on, that's great. So what I need to do first is test between all live conductors and then all live conductors to earth. So that's 10 tests as before. I'm going to start with the two line conductors, L1 and L2. And that's dead, good. Test number 1, L1 to L3. And test number 3, L2 to L3. That's all dead. Moving on to the neutral, to line 1, that's dead. Line 2, that's dead. Line 3, that's dead. So that's 6 of my 10 tests. Now I've got to do all of my lives to earth. So starting with the neutral, onto my earth terminal just here. I can see that that is dead as expected. Line 1 to earth, also dead. Line 2 to earth, also dead. Line 3 to earth, also dead. So with those 4 tests, that makes 10 in total. So I've done all the tests. I now need to make sure my proving unit is still in good order. My voltage indicators are still in good order at the proving unit. And there we go, that's all working. Okay, having proved that this circuit is dead at the incoming side of the switch there, you may be concerned it's actually the motor you're going to be working on, and should we be testing those terminals? Well, in this instance, with these types of controllers, they should be either clearly labelled to tell us what they're controlling, or obviously adjacent to it so you can see what it's controlling. And in this case, there is no doubt, because we can actually see the cable coming from the contactor straight to the motor in its entirety. So we have no doubt that this is actually supplying that motor. So it's now safe for us to work on that motor, having checked the supply there, the incoming terminals of the direct online starter. And there you are, that circuit is now safely isolated.